Hey guys, welcome back to another edition of Mindset U. This is episode 66. One more six, and it'll be my favorite episode ever.
I just wanted to get Rances thinking the entire podcast is wanting to be annoyed. So if you guys see, there's a red corner here. Now I'm gonna really take Rances off. There's a red corner here, but on that side, there's no red corner. Why? Because there's no real corner. It goes into the kitchen. All right.
Yeah, so I don't want to be in the middle of it right now. Anyway, guys, episode 66. This is all about our buddy, Rances, and the recent traumatic experience that he went through. And if you guys are like, wow, he's become more mechanical, there's a good reason behind it. And you should watch yourselves when you're talking about it because our baby was injured. You good?
I'm good. That was the reason why in the episode that you guys did without me, that you're like, oh, Rances not feeling good right now.
Yeah.
That was it that day? I don't remember.
It was
No, it was sometime after that.
Yeah, it was sometime after it. But yeah, our baby wasn't feeling well, and there's a good reason behind it, and I'll let him explain, and then we can dive into the repercussions of it and the experience that our baby's going through.
So actually, I got an idea before I talk about it, about what happened. I wanted to ask you guys, what have you noticed since the accident?
You became dumber.
I
Okay,
wouldn't
let's
say
explore that.
Yeah, I mean, you want to jump into that first?
It's self-evident.
Just listen to him talk, guys, and you'll see it. No. I've noticed that it's become a lot harder for you to focus on things. And I noticed that stuff that I know that you've explained to us that you've worked on for a longer, for most of your life and stuff like that, that it's, I can actively see you working on it now compared to before. It was just kind of like internal. Now it's more like, oh, I could see it kind of thing compared to before. I was like, oh, his eyes are darting around and he's just being Rances. I'm like, oh no, baby is trying to figure things out right now.
So my mask has fallen apart, is what you're saying?
I would say so. Yeah, your mask.
It's kind of like your mainframe got a little damaged.
Yeah.
Okay. Mo, you really don't want to explain?
No,
I'm dumber?
No, I don't. This is a joke. But I think I agree with Jay. I think that there's more of this like work that I see you putting into to think itself. In the beginning, I won't lie, I thought you were being a little dramatic.
It's fucked up.
I did.
No, it's fair. It's so fair.
I thought about it until I had to work with him, and then I was like, oh shit, he is really dumb. Fuck. This is really bad for business. This is not good at all.
So dramatic in terms of like,
I don't know, man.
not coming to the episode, like you're like, oh.
No, I guess I always have. No, not the episode. Like I kind of understood that. I guess I always had this belief about you. You're always a little extra when it comes to the things that you do.
I mean, he is the same guy who compared having a neurological disorder to being in a wheelchair.
Yeah, like to me, it's just like
and God tried to match him.
I'm fucked up. You're fucked up.
Just saying. God said we're gonna find out.
Well, it's not that it's these things that you do. I think it's just I can't empathize because I don't have the same like neurological or neurotypical issues.
We're bros in that sense. It's very hard for us to feel empathy for a friend who's in pain sometimes. When you can't physically see it.
No, but I'm saying before the accident, like Rances does all these different things to be efficient and effective, right? And for me, I think I'm very similar to your wife, where it's just like, no, it's this simple. It's just like
it's
fucking
simple.
do this. But Rances doesn't approach things that way. So like, for example, the corner and with the red, like this is driving Rances crazy. It's not, I don't give a shit. It doesn't change the podcast. It's like, we're not going to get fucking another 10,000 fans just because of this corner.
I don't like that red corner.
So it's those things where I feel like Rances is just a little extra. So then when you got the accident and Rances is just like, I need these protocols in place for me to function. I'm like, oh man, he's being even extra, like even more extra. Until I started to work with him, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, this is, he needs this. Which then it brought more of an empathetic and sympathetic side out of me where I was like, oh fuck, I gotta take care of this guy now.
Yeah, you know what though? You know what though? I kind of agree with you until I came to the house that one day that you guys were working on the project, and it was my first time seeing you, and I was like, oh, okay, he wasn't like he isn't being extra about it. Like, all right, I could see it's really fucking with him, and that's why I had so many different questions. I was like, does the light bother you and stuff like that?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know. Because I realized that one, your wife loves to have every single fucking shade open in this house, and who doesn't love a nice sunlight in? But at the same time, when you have a concussion, who knows how great that sun just fucking beaming into your eye all day long does for you. So I have a few questions when we get into it of what happened and the aftermaths of like what changes have you noticed. Because being somebody who's probably been concussed before and never really done anything about it, I'm interested to see what's changed. But first, let's jump into what happened.
Okay, so like James mentioned, I got a concussion, and the way that happened was my wife and I were driving on the New Jersey Turnpike on our way to pick up our kids. We had just finished doing some interior design project for a close friend of ours, for Lisa, and we're driving home, excited to pick up our kids from school because we're going to be picking them up to go to this private school that we want to explore for them for next year. And they're excited about it. We're excited about it. And we were literally in the car driving and discussing like the game plan. It's like, okay, so we're on our way late, so we didn't have a chance to get home and shower. So we're going to go pick up Logan first, and we'll pick up Emma from there, take off right away. Like literally that was the conversation that was happening in the moment that things started to go south. And what happened was there was a incident happening in front of us. Basically, two drivers were fighting with each other about who gets into the lane. And the one driver cut in front of the lane, which pissed off the driver that was directly in front of us. That driver went around that person and brake checked them, slammed on the brake in the middle of the turnpike. So that car was forced to stop, and we saw all this happening. We were discussing like, oh, we're going to be late. And then I was like, you see this shit, babe? My wife was driving. And she's like, yeah. I'm like, give them space. So we see all this happening. We see that happen. So we're able to stop in time. And I'm looking back at the side view mirror from the passenger side, and I see this black Honda coming at us, not slowing down. I'm talking about like 50 miles per hour coming at us. And I just start screaming, oh shit. My wife is like, wait, what's going on? What are you talking about? And right there is when this was also, by the way, a car that we had just purchased 2 days before. So part of the thoughts that were going into my head, it's like you see so many things happening. One was like, hey, the kids, how are we going to get to the kids? The other thing was like, no, the new car, no, right? The other thing was like, maybe we can go right, we can go left, and so on and so forth, which is all being processed as I'm saying, oh shit. And the disempowering feeling of like, I'm in the passenger. I can't affect anything. I can't make a change. I just have to sit here and just wait for this. So all of that was going through my head as that car barreled into us, and the impact was so violent that I remember like I was locked in anticipating the crash. And the moment the car hit, I remember that feeling of being just slammed backwards and being struck in the back of the head. When I was struck in the back of the head, I don't know if I lost complete consciousness, but what I felt was like blackness. In that blackness, then came whiteness. And then like things started to clear up, and all I'm hearing is my wife next to me screaming at me. I don't know what she's saying. It literally sounded like gibberish to me. And she just keeps repeating, and I'm like, what's going on? So like confused, but still aware. Like we were just in an accident, but what's happening? It's like this transient state. And then as things start to kind of clear up, I started understanding her. She's saying, are you okay? Are you okay? And at this point, I want to answer her. My mouth won't work. And I'm just like, what the hell? What the hell? Like, that's all I'm thinking in my head. Like, I can't make sense out of all of this. And then we start seeing smoke, which in retrospect is the smoke is coming from like the airbags going off, because all the airbags went off. So, yeah. So in that moment, like coming to my senses, the smoke, immediate panic of like, oh my God, like what's happening? The right lane to us, like cars are still flying by. Again, we're on the turnpike. It was a split where it goes into 2 lanes. So it's only 2 lanes. We're on 1 lane, and then the right lane, people are still passing. Obviously, they're slowing down because there's an accident happening. But like in my mind, I'm like, I can't leave this way. It's too dangerous. We need to get out the car because all I see is smoke. I'm confused. She's screaming. The OnStar of the car or whatever. Oh, did I say that about the car, brand new car?
I mean, no, you did talk about it was a brand new car.
We bought that car 2 days before. So it was like, we hadn't even taken a picture of the car. So like we were also confused by like the OnStar person is screaming out, we've detected an accident. Is everything okay? And we're like, why? Who are you? Like, where's this voice coming from? Jesus. And my wife is like, we need help. We need help. So like all of this like chaos is happening, and I'm just feeling like panic. Like we're in danger. We're still in danger. Like we can still get hit by another car in the back, and these cars are still flying. There's smoke in the car. I don't know what's going on. And at this moment, like I feel the pain of my head, and I rub my head and I look at my hand, it's full of blood. I'm like, oh shit, another layer of panic. And then around that time is when someone starts banging on the window, and it's the woman that crashed into us. She's crying, screaming. He's like, I didn't see you. I'm so sorry. I didn't see you. What happened? I'm so sorry.
Bright red car. She didn't see the bright red car.
But you gotta realize, like, this all happens. Like, it feels like it's an eternity kind of thing, but it all happens so fucking fast sometimes that if you're not paying attention, or like, it's really imperative, like,
to not be on your phone.
Not be on your phone, and to really fucking pay attention to what you're doing. Me off, man. Because all it takes is a split second for you to crash into somebody, and thank God it was something that, like, it was not that it was just a concussion, but it wasn't worse.
No, we're very aware and grateful that
of course.
We came out of that with ourselves intact, number one, and also with basically minor injuries, in the sense of like I didn't have a broken leg. My wife didn't. My wife had some gashes on her legs and bruises all over her body, but we're still in one piece.
And
right?
Your kids weren't in the car.
And that's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Because we were coming from like I said, doing that project, interior design project, and we had our tools in the back. So my toolbox was in the back, and when I eventually picked it up, it was dented from the back, meaning that the trunk like reached all the way to the back seat. So if someone was sitting there, they would have been possibly killed.
It would have been bad.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, meaning that impact reached all the way to the back seat. So all of this woman's banging on the thing, and I'm seeing the smoke. I'm panicking, blood. I'm just like, get out the car, get out. So I start telling my wife to get out, and it's the curtain side airbags. They're like curtains that come down, so you also like trying to see underneath them, and figure out how to like get out the car. There's glass all over the car because the whole rear windshield blew up in the accident, and so we're sprinkled with broken glass everywhere. So I'm trying to climb over to the driver's seat to get out the driver's side door. I think in the process I get a bunch of glass in my hands, and my hands are bleeding now more blood on my hands as opposed to just and I didn't know what any of this was. We get out and step to the side at first. The girl is screaming like crazy, and I'm just like, what the hell's going on? After this, I was a bit nauseous. Paramedics came and all this stuff. I had a thing. Luckily, I didn't throw up, but I know that's one of the symptoms of a concussion is that nausea.
Yep.
And yeah, that was the thing that had me not feeling well.
That we thought he was being a baby about.
We thought he was being a little bitch about it, but no, it's pretty bad.
No, yeah. I remember when you showed us the picture of the car, that's when I was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
And that was also the first time I saw the new car too. Wow.
Yeah, that's the only picture we got.
No, it was terrifying. It was, and like you said, thankfully the kids were in the back seat. So I guess my question to you is, after the whole ordeal and stuff like that, what was the emotions like going to the hospital? Like, did you guys go to the hospital in an ambulance?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
So like, what was like, do you remember like what was going through your head and stuff like that? Were you like, holy shit, the kids, like what really?
So the thing is that I have a bunch of like gaps in like remembering. Mm-hmm. So like I remember like the act of wanting to crawl out of the car, and then like next thing I'm standing next to the car. I remember the officer asking us questions, and I remember Lisa getting there. Then I remember being in the ambulance, but like the ambulance, for example, like Lisa got there first. She came from Secaucus. We were by like Route 46. So she got there before the ambulance. Like we were waiting. The cars were gone by the time the ambulance got there. Like they put it on the flatbed and took them all three cars. I think the fourth car was able to drive away. So like the ambulance took forever, but like for me it was gaps. What I do remember is getting screamed at by one of the officers because I walked back like behind the car that hit us, and I was looking at the floor. I was like, there are no skid marks. There's no skid marks here, right? And the officer's like, get back to over there or whatever. And I'm like, I'm just checking to see if there's skid marks. He's like, it'll be in the police report. Don't worry about it. By the way, nothing's in the police report.
Was it
like,
not in there? What a surprise.
Yeah. Anyways. So the whole thing was like, again, memory, like gaps that it's like, it's like this happened, then blank. This happened, then blank. This happened, blank. So I don't remember all the details as to like immediately what happened. I remember being in the ambulance and having the little blue bag to throw up in. I was like, I don't want to throw up. I don't want to throw up.
I got a question. So actually my question is, what happened with your kids? How did they react to the information once they found out?
So obviously we had to. Oh, by the way, like about the memory gaps. So I saw afterwards that I sent you guys like a voice note and all this stuff. Like I looked at it afterwards. I was like, and I listened to it. I was like, what the fuck? I don't remember saying this at all.
I think that's why at first, like, they got it's like a fender bender or something like that. So I didn't think anything of it. I was like, oh shit, like that sucks. Like I hope everything's okay. Until you sent the picture, I was like, oh shit, this is serious. Like, fuck, are you guys okay? Kind of thing.
Yeah, I also thought because of that it wasn't like it was serious, but it wasn't that serious. Like I was like, oh shit, they got into a bad accident, but I guess it wasn't that bad because Rances was still able to send a message and until you were like, I can't think.
Yeah,
like what do you mean?
So there's no memory of that. And then when I listened to it, I was like talking about the podcast actually. I was like, what the hell?
I think that's why I didn't take it as like I was like, oh, like they got to like an accident.
Still on task.
But he was like, oh, like I'm not gonna be able to help out with the podcast. And I was like, all right, like I hope you guys are okay, kind of thing. And then he sent the picture. I was like, why are you talking about the podcast to me? What the fuck's wrong with you? Like,
so like. So that's what was happening there. You were asking about the kids, and like in that process, Paola called the kids to let them know that we're not going to be able to pick them up to go to the school. And, you know, initially they're like, why not? Whatever. So with them flipping out about that they were very excited about, she was like, okay, we were in a car accident, but we're okay, right? So like we're trying to make sure that they don't freak out. Specifically, this was Logan. We were talking with Logan. Because we couldn't reach Emma. So we're telling him, but we're okay. Don't worry about it. You know, we'll see you later tonight. And she's like, in the new car? Like, don't worry about that. We'll talk about it later, so on and so forth. So, like, we go to the hospital, everything. We get home that night. And when we walk home and our kids are here with Paula's parents, they start freaking out. Start screaming. Logan screaming angrily at us. Emma starts crying because they see the condition we walking in, and they're like, "You lied to us. You told us you were okay. You're not okay." And we're like, "We are okay. We're in one piece." Yeah. Like that's what we mean. We're like, you know,
you're alive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was and Emma, she's 8 years old. She was like, you can tell she was going through a lot of emotional, like she was like angry, pushed me away, and then hugged me tight, and then pushed me like this emotional turmoil. Like, I don't know what I'm feeling.
Yeah.
And Logan was verbal about it, like, you know, screaming at us.
It's funny how we process things, like even as kids and stuff like that, where it's like, it's really fear. They're just scared. They're so scared for their parents, and watching somebody like navigate that fear is always so interesting, especially with like younger kids. And I was really curious about how the kids reacted to it, because that's fucking scary. Like, as somebody who's witnessed his dad get hurt a lot in his life and like pretty much be traumatized by certain times, like watching, like hearing him fall down a flight of stairs and then in darkness, and then turn on the lights to find him unconscious, bleeding out of his head, when I was like in 7th grade. That shit stays with you, and it's rough. And I think as a kid, there's no quite a fear of realizing that your parents aren't invincible.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like a, oh shit, like this is, I can lose them.
Yeah.
And it, off of some routine thing, they were just driving kind of thing. It wasn't like my dad was fighting lions or something, like, you know what I mean? Like putting yourself in these scary situations. So like, I could totally see why they were like, you lied, you know, because you said you're okay. And when I see you, you're all fucked up. But at the same time, what are you going to tell them? You're going to tell them, guys, we're really fucked up right now. When we get home, you know, like, what do you don't want to scare them. You don't want to get them riled up before they can see you, kind of thing. So it's like, whew,
Yeah.
it's a lot of emotions. It's a lot.
I mean, that, not to go off a tangent, Rances, but we were talking earlier about how the emotions of like younger kids, it's, to me, it's easier to identify because of like, when you're younger, you're able to express things without the fear of being judged. So as you get older, the expression of these types of emotions or feelings that you're having become more difficult. So adults or young adults tend to suppress or repress a lot of things. So when you told me the story about Emma, she like hug you, then push you away, and hug you, then push you away, is because in that moment there's this like biology that's actually occurring, but you can't label it. Like, you can't label the biology. You're angry, but you're also happy at the same time that your parents are okay. And to me, that's really interesting, because we were just having that conversation of like, how do you teach children this? And it's like, you let them express.
And it's kind of sweet. It's kind of sweet too, when you think about like, it's a very trying thing, but to know that, like, you know, she went through this like range of emotions in a like snap of a finger. It's like, it's really, like you said, like, it's awesome to see kids be able to experience and see how it's all going through their head, like the gears are moving and stuff like that.
And also shows that it isn't black or white. It's not with this or that, you know. No. That to me was pretty interesting too.
Yeah. So here's my next question, jumping off of that, you know, what are some of the differences that you've noticed with recovering from this accident and from getting a concussion and stuff like that, what are some of the things that you notice are a lot harder now than it was prior?
So I'll jump off of the last thing that you were talking about with Emma, which is like emotional regulation. That's become a little more challenging, where like I would get just upset and like there's no logical reason. I'm just like, your leg is there. Now I'm angry at your leg and you, and I just want to explode. So like, being aware of like, I'm angry right now. Like, why am I angry? It makes no sense. So like, I started becoming very distant from my family, my kids, my wife, because I'm like, I'm just like flipping out for no reason. So it's better if I just keep my distance and then not expose them to all of this. Like, it's like, it's not going to make sense to them. And it's like, why? Dad was just talking to me and now he's yelling. So that was one of the big challenges, because it was like, that's going back to what you guys were saying. Like, that's one of the things where I'm very, I've done a lot of work with managing my anger and all that stuff. And in high school and younger, I used to be very angry, easily angered. And like, it felt like all the work I did to learn how to live with my anger, to manage my anger, to use my anger, to transmute my anger, like, it felt like it was all taken away from me. And it's like, I have this fucking raging monster inside me that I'm losing control over. That was one of the things. And then, you know, what Moses was talking about, like, came dumber. I think what he's saying is like, so following a track of thinking, and this is what I've seen, what I've kind of like exploring it, have learned is like, if I'm following a linear track of thinking, it's a little bit easier, which is very little of what I actually do. My thinking is usually jumping all over, processing a bunch of things and picking out from all the things. Like, as soon as I try to do that, I get this like headache it feels like it's growing from my neck to the back of my head, and starts, and as that, it's like a darkness that's surrounding my thought process, and then all of a sudden I'm like, I don't know what I'm talking about, like nothing, and that's difficult.
I can. And the things that you mentioned, like, I see it. I see that like your temper is a lot shorter. And I can imagine how frustrating that can be sometimes, especially when you put so much work into it. Especially from like knowing you from like when we were younger and stuff like that, and to knowing you now, it's, you know, at least in the anger sense, it's two different people to me. I guess it's like, what kind of work have you started putting in to try to negate that? Because I know that you said that you initially were like, oh, I'm going to kind of distance myself from like my family a little bit because I don't want them to see that monster. But how long could you theoretically do that for when you live together, kind of thing? And they're kids. It's not like they're teenagers where it's kind of like they're on their own kind of thing. They're still at an age where like you're everything.
I mean, the way we approached that was like explaining to them like, hey, this is happening. And to my kids' credit, like, there's been multiple times where they notice it, and like Emma or Logan is like, Daddy, look at me, calm down, breathe, Daddy. Like, they're recognizing that, hey, this is not normal behavior, so let me help Daddy regulate, as opposed to like, why is Daddy yelling at me? Like, to
Oh, there it is.
I was gonna be nice, but I'm like, don't worry about it. Take your time. But
Wow, that's actually pretty good though, because it's like we've been going for over 2 hours. So
you're saying that they notice they notice, and they're trying to be like, Dad, look at me, calm down. So you're praising them for noticing that, instead of like being like, oh my God, Dad's yelling at me. Why is he yelling at me? Kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. So from them noticing it and and not taking it personally. Yeah, that's what not taking it from them, not taking it personally.
Yeah. I think that also equates to a lot of the work that you've done with them since they were kids. You know, the logic that you instilled in these really smart little kids. Because, I mean, how many, 8-year-olds and how old is Logan?
Logan's 10.
10. So, like, 8 and 10-year-old kids know to be like, Dad, look at me. It's okay. Let's think about this, because you got to think about it. These are all exercises that you did with them when they would have these little temper tantrums. Not saying that you're having a temper tantrum, but you know what I mean. When they're having an episode, I guess, and they're like, it's relax. Let's think about this for a second. Let's analyze why we're feeling this way, kind of thing. I don't know any kids. Do you know any kids really?
Yeah, Logan and them.
Aside from them, asshole.
I mean, there are kids out there that,
of course,
I think they do have it. I think younger kids are. It depends on. I feel like millennial parents tend to be more of the emotional kind of intelligence kind of leaders in the world. But I wouldn't say that it's the masses.
No, it's not. I don't think it's common.
I don't think it's common.
I think it's relatively rare and it's special. Another thing, I guess, does it bring you to a weird place talking about it? Like talking about the accident, like kind of like reliving it kind of thing? Like does it bring like weird memories and stuff like that, or like weird emotions?
No, not that part. I
guess more like the aftermath of like seeing like the ways that it's affected you.
I feel like what hurt Rances was really like the whole thinking then.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that identity loss.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, it's scary because you don't know how long you don't know how long this lasts, or like what the ramifications are of hurting your mind, hurting your head.
Well, I mean, ramifications, you can look at it financially from the business perspective.
Everything.
That we took a big hit because of that. And, even the presentation on Friday was like, it wasn't our best work. And that, I think that shows just because of the experience that he went through.
Yeah, I started the presentation by letting the audience know that I had a concussion and so on and so forth, because again, kind of what you just said, the emotional factor was what was causing me anxiety. So like going up to the presentation is like, yo, if this happens to me during the presentation, like that ruins everything, Mm-hmm. And so, I led with that. I was like, using the principles of like the obstacle is the way. This is a challenge, so I need to face that immediately on the get-go in the presentation and inform them. Like this is why if this happens, this is the plan. So that's one thing. Like to answer your question about like talking about it, I've talked about it plenty because I'm always trying to use the explanation. Like this is what happened. So this is what you can expect from me. So help me out, because that's what helps. Like you just did before, like reminded me some of the key points that I was talking about. So maybe I don't remember the train of thought, but I'll remember the general idea of the topic that I was talking about. I can go back into that and then using clues, like put it back together. So that it's that anxiety is one of the like second level factors that has impacted me rather than the accident itself.
I think it's also the idea of Huberman's, he had a podcast where he was talking to a psychologist, or was talking about psychology and overcoming trauma. One of the parts is extinguishing and the experience. So whenever you go through something traumatic, you see Rances didn't remember all the details of that experience, that trauma. What he really remembers in detail were the emotions of like everything. So when you hear him talk about the story, about what happened and the pain in the head, he's talking about the physiology, the biology, everything that occurred. That's what he's remembering, because that's the emotion. So then as you can, like in the past couple of weeks, we've been working together. So he would talk about it. He would explain the physiology, the biology that's occurring. And what he's doing with that is He's extinguishing the emotional intensity of that experience. From there, we attached a new positive experience, which was the presentation. So the presentation was the thing that was causing him anxiety and was causing him stress. Now, once you attach a positive experience to that trauma, now you start to kind of make it a part of you, which I think that's what happened. If you can actually see it, it's pretty interesting. So if you watch the video of the presentation, Rances starts out really slow, which was like awkward to see Rances present that way because he typically doesn't. Very kind of fluid and fast paced, not fast, but just animated. Mm-hmm. Rances was kind of slow and I don't know the word. It wasn't boring. It was like,
I wasn't there for it, but like,
yeah, I don't know what the word is, but it just seemed not Rances. But then you can see an immediate shift in this one part of the presentation. It's just like everything clicked and turned on. It was pretty cool. Like I was like, oh, there he is.
It's kind of like watching like an engine like start up.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
It clicked. Now we're in gear.
It like
now
clicked.
We're in gear.
Yeah. And then after that experience, it was like, oh, Rances was able to create linear thinking, which was like thought, connection, which to me was pretty cool because after we left, it was like you could see Rances felt good about it, which then it was like, here's the positive experience. It was like, okay, now we're getting it back. Like,
yeah. Well, yeah, that's what you mentioned that before we started the pods today was that when I asked you guys how it went, and you said that it kind of like gave him like a jump start kind of thing. Like I've noticed a difference compared to like having conversations before where it took you a podcast and a half. We're on our second podcast today, and now I'm just starting to see it compared to like when I first started talking to you a few weeks ago when it happened. It was like having a 5-minute conversation with him. Like, damn, I could see him struggling to find the words right now, kind of thing, or to find his place again. So, I mean,
we've literally been Rances and I literally been working since 10:45 a.m. So we had our meeting. Mm-hmm. You know, we got to set up the podcast. So, we've been talking for 2 hours. So.
Mm-hmm. I've seen to see the progress that's going on. And I know it's a slow. It's going to be a constant. It's a constant thing. But it's nice to see that there's a slow, great start to this road of recovery because you don't never know how long it takes or if this is the new way of life and stuff like that. But it's nice to see my baby's a little bit back.
But to that point, like one thing that's been very helpful is like recognizing like the limit almost and then pausing there. Like instead of trying to push the work, like when I'm coming close to that limit is like, all right, I need a break. So like the fact that we took a break, there was like, we were working outside, which by the way, for me was like good to in terms of that. And then like the cognitive load break of like, now we're setting up, right? That's a break. Then we do the podcast and then we took another break. Like those breaks kind of let me like reset and jumpstart, which, if you know our history, Mo and I, we would lock ourselves when we had the center. We would lock ourselves for a full Saturday in a room, and we'll
7-8 hours. Knock out a bunch of stuff.
Brainstorm, create an entire business plan, operations, understand all the math and everything, like this giant flow chart, and be super excited, like and leave there like yes, And then now it's like, okay, my time limit is like 45 minutes, and then I'm like, okay, recognizing like, okay, I understand I used to be there. Now I'm here, and like, chill, like, take your time, like that thing, which, goes to you guys, everyone around me, Moses, like, we're excuse me, we're working, and I'm like, dude, I think I'm done, which for me, like, hurts the ego, whereas like, there was one meeting that we were having and we were talking about stuff, and I was like, the last like 10 minutes, I don't know what the fuck we're talking about. And I'm trying to, and I'm like, hold on. I'm being like a baby about this. I'm being selfish because it's really just wasting time now. And I was like, dude, I'm burnt out. And you're like, okay, cool. and like your reaction to that, I was like, okay, cool. We'll start off again tomorrow. That was like, oh, okay. It's okay for me to do this. That was,
Yeah. I think with you, I think you put, and this is just the outsider's thing. I think you put so much on your shoulders of how you're perceived when it comes to this with your business, because you guys are partners and stuff like that, and you guys both have to carry your weight kind of thing. And I think it's like fear of being like, oh, like that I'm gonna be judged for having to stop right now, because before it was like, no, we're fucking workhorses, there's no fucking give, this is what we do kind of thing. And it's like realize like no, the business aside, like we fucking love you and we care about you, and that's what really matters at the end of the fucking day. And to get on you because you can't handle stuff the way that you did before is, what's the point in that? Mm-hmm. What does that do?
Yeah,
that only makes you feel worse, and that's not going to help the situation get better kind of thing.
I think that's a huge point, because like that's been a point of stress too for me, like since this happened, where like my output obviously has dramatically decreased, and the different projects that we're working on is like, how am I contributing to these things? I'm literally not, and like the only thing I could handle was like the presentation, and it was like all day long, like all I worked on the presentation, when typically like that project would be like
10% of the day.
Yeah. And then this is like the only thing I can handle at a time. Like that idea goes right into the point of like, like that partnership. Like I'm not carrying my weight now. Like why am I even needed then? Like for the business, like all of those thoughts come in and start to build anxiety. So, that's one of the anchors that also put that extra stress.
I guess my question would be for you, Mo, what's it been like with this new normal, I guess, of noticing, the shift in business right now because of what's going on with Rances and stuff like that? Like, how do you view?
It's kind of like when Michael Jordan lost Scottie Pippen for a while.
No, that's a fair. Can you go into that, because I don't think many people know basketball like that.
Michael Jordan is the greatest ever, and
in this scenario, Moses is.
Yeah, I was like, are you Jordan?
I am Jordan.
Okay, fair enough.
Always will be. But the other day, Scottie Pippen said Michael Jordan would have never been great without Scottie Pippen. So I think that's true too.
Yeah.
And what you do notice, or what I noticed, was like the business definitely took a hurt, in the sense that the projects that were moving forward to generate revenue were halted. Mm-hmm. The podcasts, the working with clients were on pause. The projects in terms of the building the new strength area, that was on pause. Those are all things that literally stopped revenue. So financially, we took a hit, but it doesn't fucking matter, right? Because the way I thought about it at first, I caught anxiety. I was like, shit, man, like,
what are we gonna do?
What are we gonna do?
Yeah.
And then I thought about it, I was like, it doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah.
Like none of it matters. What matters is like making sure Rances gets back to be in a healthy state to be able to contribute anything. And that's the way I saw it. Even with the presentation, I had anxiety about it. I was like, damn, I wonder if I'm going to have to do both. I wonder if, Rances will be able to handle it emotionally and physically. But then I thought about it, I was like, what's the worst that could happen? Like, we don't get called up again from this organization. I was like, oh, well, there's thousands of other organizations around us that they'll call us and we'll just figure it out.
There was also last thing I wanted to share that I really appreciated was like, you were like, listen, Huberman's talking about concussions and this and this and this. And, he told me like, go to this website, order this is the best creatine you can get, and so on and so forth. Like that was also, I felt very supported in that, because it's like, oh shit, he's not just like, like, all right, go get better, come back when you're worth something. It was like, I'm here with you. I'm helping you through the process.
I gave him a keto cup too.
By the way, that was so. The story is we came to meet and like so like the idea the contrast is like, yeah, all right, feel better. It was like because I hadn't seen Mo for since like the accident for like I think it was like
a couple of weeks.
Yeah, a couple of weeks. And it was like there was not much communication happening, just like the daily, everyday, how you feeling? Which I was getting tired of that question because tons of people tell, how you feeling? It's like, I'm feeling like shit, bro. Like, leave me alone. Like, but so like, there was like, all right, yeah, how you feeling? But there was like really no connection, like, and in my brain in that moment with all of that anxiety is like, okay, he's just like, all right, you're useless right now. I'm gonna do me because like that day that you came and you tossed that keto cup because Mo is not very emotionally expressive, right?
No.
He sits down, has
Not
this
towards men.
he sits down
That's very different.
with this awkward smirk. He tosses me a keto cup. Like, I don't care. Here. But that moment, like knowing Mo, is like, oh, that was so sweet.
That's another episode of Mindset You. We love you guys. Don't forget to comment and do all that stuff. And send Rances. I said send Rances your well wishes
AKA
via the comments.
Mr. Robot.
Mr. Robot.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all I got. I'm feeling emotional, so
No punchlines.
I'm
for
done.
Jay.
No punchlines for me.
All right. And I'm in a good mood.
Surprisingly in a good mood today. Look at that. Yeah, that's it, guys. Thank you so much.
All right, guys. Peace.
Peace.